Right now, the GOP tax reform bill is being debated, and it might even be passed by the time I upload this video. But I wanted to go back over this past week and take a look at a prediction that Bernie Sanders made on Tuesday in the CNN tax debate.
Here's something else. This legislation will grow the deficit by $1.4 trillion. Mark my words. Mark my words. The day after or soon after this legislation passes, if it does, we're going to do everything we can to see that it doesn't. These guys are going to come back. They're going to say, oh, my goodness, deficit is soaring. We've got to cut Social Security. We've got to cut Medicare and Medicaid and education and programs that the middle class and working class families desperately need. This is a disastrous piece of legislation. We've got to defeat it.
So that was on November 28th, where Bernie Sanders predicted that if the GOP pass this tax reform bill, they'll then move on to trying to cut Social Security, Medicare, and other programs. Well, you didn't have to wait that long, because just the next day, this is what Marco Rubio said while talking to Politico. Many argue that you can't cut taxes because it will drive up the deficit, but we have to do two things. We have to generate economic growth, which generates revenue, while reducing spending. That will mean instituting structural changes to Social Security and Medicare for the future. Structural changes to Social Security and Medicare, otherwise known as defunding the programs. Now, it's really worth pointing out that these programs are the most popular government programs that currently exist in the US. In fact, a Kaiser Family Foundation survey from 2015 found that Social Security and Medicare are the two most popular government programs, at 83% and 77%. And even when you break down Medicare and Medicaid by party, you can see that both programs are incredibly popular, with the vast majority of people from every political spectrum saying that these programs are either very important or somewhat important. So because of the popularity of these programs and the awareness that the GOP do want to defund them, Bernie Sanders introduced an amendment to the tax bill on Thursday that would establish a rule requiring a 2/3 vote in order to cut Social Security, Medicare, and Medicaid. And during a debate in the Senate on this amendment and the GOP tax bill, Bernie Sanders had an exchange with Republican Senator Pat Toomey.
Here's my friend from Pennsylvania now, and that's interesting. Are you guaranteeing the American people that you will not be cutting Social Security, Medicare, and Medicaid? Don't use the word save, because what save means is a cut. Will you guarantee the American people now there will be zero cuts to benefits in Social Security, Medicare, and Medicaid? That you're not, excuse me, it's my time. I will yield to you. I will yield to you, but let me finish. I yielded to you before. Will you guarantee the people of this country that after this bill passes, you will not come back, raise the retirement age, voucherize Medicare, raise the retirement age to Medicare, cut cost of living increases by instituting a so-called chained CPI? Do I have your word on that?
So I have to disappoint the senator from Vermont by informing him that there is no secret plan to do any of the above. We are not in some process to spring something. If we wanted to make these changes in Medicare and Medicaid, this would be the vehicle because we have reconciliation protection to do it.
You know, let me just be very clear. I'm happy to hear this. Do I have your word now that you, as a senator, I know you can't speak for everybody, that you, as a senator, after this bill is passed, and I suspect it will be, you will not support any cuts to Social Security, Medicare, and Medicaid? Do I have that word from you?
I am not going to support any cuts to people who are on the program and need those benefits.
There it is.
But I want this program to survive. I'm going to acknowledge that we need this program for the next generation, too.
He just let the cat out of the box, or whatever the phrase is. He just told you he's going to cut Social Security. That's it, my friends. He will not cut it, what he just said, he will not cut it for people who are on Social Security right now. I hear that. But if you are 50 years of age or you are 55 years of age, they just told you, my friend from Pennsylvania just told you, they may go forward to raise the retirement age, they may cut your cost of living adjustment. That is what he just said. So there is a plan, and that is exactly what they intend to do. And that's why I hope that we can get strong support for this amendment that will require a 2/3 vote to prevent any cuts to Social Security, Medicare, and Medicaid. And with that, Mr. President, I would yield.
So I don't know what's left for me to say. Bernie Sanders pretty clearly exposed the GOP and what their plan is. And they do indeed plan to defund those government programs. Now, I mean, there are so many issues with this GOP tax bill, but you can tell what the Republicans' plan is with it when you see the types of amendments that they're voting down. So here's a tweet from Bill Nelson. Senate Republicans just voted down my amendment to make the modest middle-class tax cuts permanent instead of a tax increase in a few years. Proof that this GOP tax bill was never about helping the middle class. So even though the GOP are making the corporate tax cuts permanent, the tax cuts for the middle class, as small as they are not permanent. So I don't know what else there is left to tell you. If you don't already know that this tax reform bill is for the wealthy and multinational corporations, then I have no other information to offer you. So if this does in fact get passed, it's going to be really weird to see what the US looks like in a few years once this all gets rolling.